I started quilting when I was about 14. Quilting is definitely my favorite kind of sewing because quilts are like painting with fabric. My mother quilts, and so does her niece. Quilting is really its own little culture. Quilters exchange all kinds of things, from tips to magazines to swatches of fabric. Being around other quilters really does create a unique sense of community and belonging. Just like any other culture, quilting has its own vocabulary. Words like batting, backing, basting, loft, binding, and sandwiching. And of course, sewing machines have their very own jargon. Since they are complex and often hard to get along with machines, we have to have a whole set of words just to talk about our issues with them. There are terms like feed dogs, presser foot, bobbin thread, and tension. This old treadle machine of mine has a shuttle that gets stuck quite often, but no company makes parts for this kind anymore. Making a good quilt requires careful choice of materials in every step of the process. Choosing fabrics is the most fun part, and they all need to be 100% cotton because cottons hold their shape well. Quilters in the Appalachian area like to use calicos and floral prints, while quilts with a more Amish feel would contain only bright, solid colors. All of the fabric needs to be washed and carefully ironed before it can be used in the quilt. There are so many different kinds of blocks out there that one can choose to make a quilt from. There are even whole cloth quilts that don't have a single piece in them, but are just white fabric with incredible amounts of quilting all over them. Many quilt blocks have names, and a lot of these names show the historic origins of the blocks. Blocks such as Clay's Choice, Drunkard's Path, or the Teetotaler block. My first quilt was a block called Card Trick, and it has spider webs quilted in between the blocks, because I read in a book somewhere that in Victorian ages a quilter was supposedly blessed with good luck if she quilted a piece of a spider web on part of her quilt. Something neat about the quilt that my mother is working on is that she's been working on it since I was a baby, and that it's now almost finished. The block is called Churn Dash, sometimes called Monkey Wrench. The reason that this particular quilt took so long to make is that there was a problem with the batting. My mother chose a batting that had too high of a loft, which meant that it was too big and fluffy, and it was therefore really hard to quilt. I'm in the process of making my third quilt, a cathedral window quilt. This type of quilt was very popular in Victorian times. Making the squares is incredibly time-consuming, but no quilting is actually required. For this particular quilt, I had to buy 26 yards of unbleached muslin. The lady at the fabric store thought I was nuts. My older sister has started quilting too, and she has some things to say about it.
I recently registered for a quilting class through the community college, and when I showed up, I'm like the only person under 65 in the class. But, that's okay. The ladies are really helpful, they're really sweet, and some of them have been coming to the class for 15 years. So I guess for them it's more of a social event than a learning experience. The quilt I'm making now, I'm going to keep for myself, but I've decided the next quilt I make, I want to make it kid-sized and give it away, maybe to a sick child. I don't know, there's just something special about a handmade gift. For example, years ago, someone made me this beautiful crocheted throw, and I don't know, it just feels so good to know that someone has poured so much time into something and then given it to you.